I'll give you a clue. It was Grimsby.
They are pressing quite well. What's happened there? You've got to be joking.
Oh, sorry, no, I've done it the wrong way around, so I've drawn an arrow and I haven't seen it, sorry.
He must have a horseshoe up his arse.
If we're playing on professional and that's happening for Barcelona...
2 years ago. Sorry about that, I don't know what that was.
I'm sorry, that's just put me off the game. I'm not having that.
Anyway, segue, moving on.
What has that got to do with football? Why is that at a football ground?
Hello and welcome to the Honest Football Podcast, where we bring honesty back to the beautiful game. I'm Craig Savage, and with me as always is Charlie Betts and Daniel Cody.
On the show this week, we have a celebration of non-league day, as well as our usual features, question of the day, story of the week, and our weekly review of all things not Premier League.
So lads, I think we need to get the important news out of the way. We're recording this one slightly earlier on Sunday for us. Won't make too much difference to the listeners, but obviously we won't have any midweek updates. And that's because Craig Savage is having his knee operation tomorrow, aren't you, Craig?
Yep.
How are we feeling?
Alright, to be
Good.
honest.
It's about the 85th time he's had his knee operated on.
Yes. I was going to say, it's not exactly a first, is it? So.
I'm actually alright, to be honest. I think I'll be nervous when I'm actually on the table waiting to get myself knocked out.
Yeah, but just think of the feeling on the morphine afterwards. That's
that's
a good bit.
Tramadol.
That half an hour afterwards is gold dust, isn't it?
Absolutely fantastic. But honestly, I have to say this tonight, I don't really want to, I just want to go home.
And then,
So as this will already be out by the time that...
you've had your op.
Yes.
Yeah, so, or this will already be out by the time you've had your op, this will already be out if I'd have said it the right way around. It's going to be one of those sort of shows. We'd just like to say that we hope you're on the mend, Craig.
And we start with the Championship, and obviously Steve Bruce has been sacked, and we don't know who's going to be the manager, but at the moment it's going to be Thierry Henry with John Terry as his assistant.
It's a very strange combination, isn't it? Obviously we spoke in quite detail about Villa last week in the podcast, and they went and lost away at Millwall in between there.
They did.
And it just seems a very strange appointment. They'd already talked about progressive managers and Steve Bruce not being exciting enough, and Thierry Henry, who has no managerial experience, and John Terry, who have no managerial experience. How do you know what type of managers they're going to be?
Has he got any coaching experience? Any badges?
Who, Terry?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I just
He might
thought
have.
a lot of players do their badges into their 30s, but I don't think he's got much coaching experience. Admittedly, he's a natural leader and all of that off the pitch, but I'm not sure that it's the right fit, and I'm not sure it's the right time for them to be experimenting with things like that, to be honest.
Why is it not the right time?
I just think they need a bit of stability now. I mean, they've got an ideal candidate. I didn't agree with Bruce being sacked, but in Dean Smith at Brentford, if they could have got him, they've got a man who is a supporter of the club, who is a proven good manager in the EFL, who is young and progressive if that's what they're looking for. Brentford play lovely football, and I just thought that would be the right one. It'd get the fans on side and give them a free pass for a couple of months.
I think it would be the compensation pay. I think it'd be a bit too much.
Well, that's the financial difficulties we'd spoken about already, isn't it? I mean, we're keeping a bit quiet here with Charlie because we want to go to one of my predictions, which is Sheffield United.
yeah.
Who reached the summit of the league yesterday.
He's doing well, isn't he?
They're absolutely flying.
Yeah,
Dean Wilder's doing
Dean
excellent.
Wilder. I think it's
Chris Wilder.
Chris Wilder.
I was going to say Chris, and you said Dean, and I thought, I'm sure his name's Chris.
Sorry, Chris.
We shouldn't record on Sunday, shouldn't we?
But he's a Sheffield United fan himself as well, so it's a
And
fairy tale sort of story about
Sort of a
it.
perfect example set for Villa if they wanted to look somewhere, which is why I've mentioned that. The other one I wanted to mention is someone we haven't, I've had a listen back, I don't think we've mentioned them at all this season yet. It's Blackburn Rovers.
Oh yeah.
So they won 1-0 at rivals Bolton last night, away from home, and they've just snuck up towards that top half, and I just think, are they going to be a dark horse? Because they're right up there with the playoff places.
Like we said last week, the difference between 6th and 17th is only about four or 5 points.
And those couple of wins have taken them right up.
2 wins later and you're up there. So, speaking of wins, your beloved Preston North End.
Not just a win, an emphatic win.
An emphatic 4-0 win against Wigan.
As I said last week, I don't actually want them to go down. I just thought they would. It was a good win, and I hope they do stay up, because they're a decent club and they deserve to be in the Championship for me. And the same applies to Ipswich, who also won away at Swansea.
Yeah, very good.
I think it will be the first of very few this season, unfortunately. But Paul Hurst is a good manager, and hopefully he can work miracles in the same way Mick McCarthy did.
Yeah, also in the Championship, did you know, a little fact for you, across the Football League yesterday, there was 5 games in which a manager went back to his old club. 3 in the Championship, 2 in League 2. So in the Championship, obviously, Karanka went to Middlesbrough, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Got a good result there.
2-0. I was about to say that. You know, I didn't realise that was Middlesbrough's first home goals conceded. So they've got all the way up to now, they lost 2-0 yesterday.
That fits with the Tony Pulis boring football thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So they got all the way to...
Right there.
Yeah, and then, that was pretty much all I had in terms of a good result for them. You also had Steve McLaren, who went back to Derby.
Yeah.
Got 1-0 with QPR, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but anyway, across the leagues, there was a few managers going back there.
And who's the third manager, Charlie?
Third man was actually Nigel Adkins. He went back to Sheffield United, but obviously we've already mentioned that.
He lost
so,
again.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Are we on to League One then?
Yeah,
We are.
what's going on at the top of League One? Because Peterborough, Portsmouth and Doncaster
All lost. But Barnsley were the ones who thrashed Peterborough.
Yeah.
I think Barnsley are going to have a great season. They're right up there. They are one of the ones competing up the top with them. I think it's going to be quite a close league up there
Well,
this year.
you are going to Barnsley's next game at home to Luton Town.
I am. A lovely midday kick-off for the Sky cameras.
Lovely long trip.
Yeah, I don't fancy our chances there, to be honest. The way they press, I think they'll put us under pressure. We try to play football at the back, and I don't think it'll work,
Did you see the
unfortunately.
goals yesterday? Barnsley hit an absolute worldie.
Oh, there were some really good goals.
Yeah,
Barnsley.
great finish.
At the other end of the table, I had one really big bit of news, which was Plymouth finally won a game. 1-0 at home to AFC Wimbledon.
They're doing what they did a couple of years ago. They're going to
Last
shaft
season.
it.
Last
Last
season.
season, sorry.
Have you seen
Shaft
that
it
goal as
Christmas.
well? It was a lovely,
Oh, that was a good
lovely
goal.
corner routine.
They'll
But
fly up the table by May time. You see, they'll be near the playoffs.
yeah, they did
And
that last season. Yeah.
That's why you stick with your manager at the start of the season.
Yeah, true. No,
A
definitely.
couple of other bits to lose in League One. You mentioned one, Portsmouth, but they lost to Gillingham,
Yeah.
which Gillingham I predicted to go down, and
I
they'd had a
predicted
fairly
them to
they'd
go
had a
down as well.
fairly dodgy start, but they're doing all right. So fair play to them for that. And the other one was Fleetwood, still flying, much
you
to
two
my and
moan
Charlie's
about
annoyance.
Jay Barton.
4-0. Yeah, again.
4-0.
I mean,
away.
I don't know where it's come from. Again,
No.
someone with no coaching experience, but it seems to be working for him. He's got them playing. He's got them right behind him, and they're right up there in the top half as well.
I obviously didn't predict that, but yeah, I didn't see that coming.
And the most important thing for them is they're not really losing many games. Even the ones they're not winning, they're drawing a lot of them.
Yeah.
So that's quite a good thing for them.
On to League 2, and sadly, Macclesfield won again.
1-0. 1-0.
Yeah, at home
Yeah.
to Notts County. Notts County. So Harry Kill's finally
started to get them on the roll.
He's come on the roll, so I'm happy for him.
I had one other game from League One, which was an absolute thriller between Morecambe and Tranmere.
League 2, mate.
League 2, sorry. God, I'm all over the place. Morecambe v Tranmere. Morecambe 3, Tranmere 4.
That's ridiculous.
Morecambe went 1-0 up. Tranmere went 3-1 up. Morecambe got it back to 3-0 with 10 minutes to go, and then lost it in the 89th minute. Tranmere now in the playoff places, which Craig predicted at the start of the
Thank
season. He
you
said
very
they'd go
much.
up in the playoffs, so
McNulty and the boys.
you might be right there. The other thing from League 2 links back to something we mentioned last week, which was Oldham. The off-the-pitch problems, finances, lost at home 3-1.
Oh, well.
It seems to be affect. So often you say it shouldn't affect things on the
No.
pitch, but when you're at that sort of level and it pays your mortgage and you don't get paid,
Yeah,
it's going
it
to
is
have
a
an
bit.
effect, isn't it? It's a bit different to Premier League players.
Nick might. Yeah, so you know the stat I said earlier about the free championship? The two League 2 teams with the management back to their old club. One of them was David Flitcroft. That's easy for me to say.
Flitcroft.
David Flitcroft, who's at Mansfield. He went back to Bury.
Yeah.
Drew to all there. And the other one was John Sheridan, who's the manager of Carlisle, who used to manage
Oldham.
Oldham. And obviously 1-3-1. Brilliant segue coming up. Are you ready? Little fact for you in League 2 yesterday. So Carlisle's...
This is gonna disappoint
Here
you.
we
I can
go.
almost assure you.
No. Carlisle's Gary Liddell come out in a teammate shirt. So he wears number 4, and obviously he's got his name on the back. He actually ended up coming out with Tom Parks' shirt, number 6, and Parks on the back. But what was really funny about the whole thing, Tom Parks also came out in his own shirt as well. So there was 2 number 6s on the pitch for Carlisle United yesterday. Until the fans started shouting, "There's only 2 Tom Parks."
That's a great story, and could have been story of the week, to be fair. But I don't know where the segue
Where
was.
was the segue?
Well, I just mentioned Carlisle. They beat Oldham 3-1, didn't they?
So you didn't set yourself up for that.
Well, as I promised, it disappointed. The last thing I had in League 2 is Lincoln. 7
1-0
points
win.
clear of the playoff places now. We all predicted them for automatic promotion, and it looks like it's going to happen. So
1-0 win at
Who's still unbeaten in League 2 as well?
Forest Green Rovers.
Really?
I've had that in my notes
They do
actually.
draw-
Another draw, 8 draws and 4 wins, but still unbeaten.
And finally, Adi Akinfenwa, or however you say his name.
Yeah.
Got 200 goal yesterday, didn't
He's League 1 though, isn't he?
League 1 though.
he? Oh shit! I put it in the wrong place.
Oh, Charlie Betts is having a nightmare. Just when I think I'm having a bad episode, Charlie Betts delivers for me.
Oh goodness me. Okay, right. Well, that was the bit for League 1 that I didn't have earlier.
On to the National League. Very professional in the professional football league.
I'm not talking anymore.
Tony, what happened in the National League? Salford won again though.
Well, I was going to mention not just Salford, because obviously we're going to get onto Dover with that sort of thing from my last episode, but the competitive title race is something we haven't seen at that level too often recently.
No.
It's quite often been a team run over it, but there's 4 teams up there within 2 points, and they all look fantastic. If they've had one off day, they've always been back the next game. So we've got Wrexham and Orient up there, who I'd predicted. Salford, obviously, the money bags, you'd expect them to be up there. And Harrogate, who are still hanging on up there,
Another
which is
win
really
for them
great. Another win
yesterday.
for them. On the other end of the table, Dagenham and Redbridge.
You got to stop mentioning them. I feel for them.
I feel for them, but they lost again. And I said this off the pitch trouble's going to mar them. Tim
Tim
Howard's
Howard
not
is-
made the difference he thinks he's going to.
So once the MLS season is finished, Tim Howe will be over there to save the
Well, he
club.
should be coming on loan in January.
Yeah,
shouldn't he? That's what he should be
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
But they're 4 points drift of Chesterfield now, who picked up another lucky point.
So still haven't won a game.
And
They still haven't won a game.
actually, at the time of recording, some breaking news: that
Oh.
Braintree manager Brad Quinton, it says left by mutual agreement.
So he's
which
been sacked, yeah.
I think we all know the. So the statement from the club. You haven't actually heard this, Dan. So I'll be interested to get your reaction.
I think you know what it's going to be.
Yeah, he said a sad day for the club, but we felt it was a time for a change, said the chairman Lee Harding. Brad has done well for us both as a player and a manager, being involved in 3 promotions in 11 years. We thank him for his contribution. He knows he's always welcome at Cressing Road, I think that's how you pronounce the ground. Even as late as the last 20 minutes on Saturday, I was hoping that he'd be able to turn our season around and give ourselves a chance. But we were not confident that we would turn our season around. Time will tell if a change brings an improvement to our fortunes, but we felt we should at least have a try. And they've won 1 in 15.
Do you know what? I haven't got a problem with that statement.
I haven't got a problem with the statement, but I have got a problem with the sacking.
Yeah.
So, Braintree, we've mentioned this before. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago about Cardiff going into the Premier League. He's basically given them a free season of football there. The only reason they're there is because of the new extended playoffs last year.
Yes.
Yes, with the 6th and 7th place. They went up, I think they finished in 6th, but correct me if I'm wrong. Apologies for that. But what I would have said is that you didn't really expect them to stay up. They were absolute dead cert favourites to go down. They were bottom of the list with the bookmakers. And what do you expect? These clubs, they go up and then they seem to be surprised when they're bottom of the league. And I don't know what more do you expect from a man who's been a club captain there for years.
Yeah.
He's been there as a player for a decade, now he's a manager. And I don't get it.
Yeah,
Who are they going to get that's going to know the club better, that's going to understand the commitment needed, and who's going to want to help the club so much? They're just going to get another manager who may or may not succeed, but they're going to go down. And they'll end up in a worse position when they go back down.
Clearly their threshold for failure was the fact that they're now, I think they put some 7 points behind the team above them. I think if they'd have won, obviously if they'd have won, that'd have been 4. They'd think that's acceptable. But where do you draw the line?
I think they overachieved from last season. I don't think they expected to go up.
Yes. But
I expected to be around there as they were, but I don't think.
But then wouldn't you expect them to be a bit more understanding when their manager who's got them up?
But it depends on what resources they brought in from the summer.
Not a huge amount.
Well, there you go.
They're on a smaller budget than Dagenham and Redbridge, who have got a former England manager who are only 3 points ahead.
I don't like the wording of it either. You know, he's only won 1 in 15, which if you look at it, but
as you would expect.
That's
yeah,
right.
I mean he's drawn 4 of them, so I know it's only 4, but it's not like he's lost 15. You know, if he's lost 15, I get that, but
yeah, but he's lost 11.
No, but still, but given what we were just saying, it's not as, in my opinion, you know, if you've got a team who are getting beat 8 or 9-0 every week, then you need to get a change.
If I was a fan there, I would have expected to maybe lose 10 of the first 15 games.
Yeah, you know, so...
No, I don't buy that. Expect to lose 10 in the first 15.
Well,
No,
at least understand that you may be at risk of
no, I expect to be... I don't expect to be bottom. I expect to be around the area of just, like, up above the relegation zone. Just because, obviously, you're not going to say, right, we're going to make it to, like, top 10. But
there aren't 4 teams in that league with a smaller budget than them. So what do they expect? I just feel that these owners don't understand.
To be honest, you look at Harrogate, they got promoted as well.
Oh, but that's a one-off.
Well, no, not really, because you have to look at, they both got promoted, and obviously Haven are struggling. They're up there, down there, shall I say? But it don't matter. Obviously, they've just growing confidence. Obviously, with Braintree, obviously the confidence was there. Obviously, getting promoted, but obviously it's fallen away. It just hasn't worked. So I can understand why a change is needed.
I guess the biggest difference between those two clubs is Harrogate were right up there at the top of the league when they got promoted. Braintree weren't winning every game. They were inconsistent last year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't believe he should be getting sacked.
No,
I agree with it. I understand the statement, but you have to be a bit real here and say, look, we finished 7th in National League South and got promoted.
Just
or 6th, should I say.
for my little bit in there, I just don't agree with him. Who are you going to get to come in? Who's going to make any more of a difference than the fellow who's just gone?
Well, it could be a different style of play. I don't know. You don't know,
Right,
but we'll keep an eye on Braintree.
We'll report back, I guess, once they get a manager in a few weeks' time. And the last thing in that league is obviously Dover. They featured quite heavily last week in our steady managers topic because Chris Kinnear, another man who'd been there for so long and achieved such great things, was sacked for a poor start to the season. They're just 1 point ahead of Braintree. They lost 4-1 at home to Salford without him. No real turn in the tide, and I'm quite interested to see who they think they can get as well. So you've now got...
I would...
Unless they go for Chris Wilder.
Or Dean.
Dean Wilder.
To be honest, I would have just, like, knock this game. I know it's not about being saying I would have knocked this game ahead because you know it's going to be Salford. You know they're going to.
But we've now got the bottom 2 teams in the National League who are going to be searching for a manager, so that's going to be quite an interesting thing over the next few weeks to see which direction they go.
Yeah, like Harry Wheeler's now was at Billericay. Now he's got an opportunity at Maidstone.
Another manager at Maidstone who was very unlucky to be sacked, Jay Saunders.
So you got to give him an opportunity. You can't, as you said, like Peter Taylor, for example. We got the experienced guy. You got to give it young guy a go.
Yeah, no, I haven't got a problem with that. I just think they were both, or all 3 if we include Maidstone, were very harshly treated in getting sacked.
Well, this early, yeah. Any sacking this early in the season is...
Yeah, it's still too early for us.
Anything from the north and south?
It was FA Cup third qualifying round.
Yes.
Billericay won 9-1.
Billericay did win 9-1.
Against Whitehawk.
Whitehawk, yes.
Whitehawk, what a fall from grace they've had. They were challenging up the top of that. Again, a lot of money invested, challenging at the top of the National League South a few years ago.
Well.
Where are they based?
Down
is that
south.
Brighton, is it?
Yeah,
Brighton that way.
Yeah, they had a good cup run cover season.
They did. They had lots of investment in the team. The person who was there got bored, stopped investing, and look what's happened.
It's a weird old ground, that.
It's a weird old place, it's a bit in between, yeah. There were a few other stories in the FA Cup. Obviously, the TV game, Peterborough Sports v Chorley. We mentioned Peterborough Sports a few weeks ago because they beat Boston United. They lost 3-0. To be honest, there was a golfing class between them.
Yeah.
But they worked hard and they did well.
Still an unbelievable effort.
3-0 is still a good result.
And still, obviously, for clubs at that level, a couple of leagues below the National League South, the third qualifying round is quite a good payday. And particularly with the connected TV, I think they get a few grand for that as well. A few shocks I've got some news for.
Yeah, go on.
I say shocks or surprises.
I like a good cup shock.
Shocks or surprises. We've got some magic from the FA Cup. Warrington beat Telford of the National League North.
Warrington Town.
Telford have a bit of investment as well. You know?
Yeah, and Warrington, a few years ago, they played in the first round game. They beat Exeter.
Exeter,
1-0,
1-0,
because it was on BBC on a Friday night. I remember
Robbie
watching
Savage
that.
was going orgasmic.
Yeah, I watched it in a hotel room somewhere. I just remember
That was a
it.
good game, actually. Very enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Guiseley, who Charlie predicted to go down,
Yeah.
they were held away at Cleethorpes.
Oh.
A place that's featured quite heavily in our questions of the day, despite actually not being the title of the topic.
What are you talking about, mate?
Chester. Now, this is the best one.
When was Chester?
They lost at Dunstan UTS.
Oh, really? At home?
I think away from home. I haven't got the score in front of me, but it's either 2 or 3-0. It was really comfortable.
Oh.
It was a comfortable defeat, which was surprising.
Few changes.
And Charlie's prediction to win the National League North, Brackley,
Yep.
they lost at home to Marine.
Ooh.
So quite a few shocks here.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had as a mention from the FA Cup ones is obviously we mentioned Hastings United the other week when they went down to 8 men and still
Yes, how
smacked
they
through.
going?
They lost 2-0 at Hitchin, which is our most
Oh,
likely
Hitchin,
game,
yes.
actually.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Who are not doing very well.
Not doing very well, but they're now in the 4th qualifying round of the FA Cup, and I'll mention a bit more about that later in the show.
Oh. And now it's time for Story of the Week. Story of the Week time. Last week we mentioned a team in Wales.
Yeah, it's more of a revisit of Story of the Week than a new Story of the Week. But as we mentioned in the last episode, there was the team that didn't exist until a couple of weeks ago in the Welsh FA Youth Cup.
Uh-huh.
And the game was played live just now. We managed to get some sort of Twitter feed on here, and we do have a confirmed result.
Oh.
We say just now when we're recording.
Yeah, when we're recording,
right,
so
so
it's Inisadu Welfare FC. That's the team who accidentally entered, the Welsh FA
They were accidentally
entered into the competition. They were playing Brighton Ferry, and full time the scores were 1-1.
Oh.
Then 5 minutes before the end of extra time, Inisadu, the team that didn't exist, went 2-1 up.
Yes, nice.
And then
Crazy reaction to get better every week.
just before the end of extra time, the other team have gone and scored. Brighton Ferry made it all. So it's gone to penalties.
Oh no.
This is when we picked up the live feed on camera. Can I just say
we've paused the podcast for 10 minutes to actually watch this penalty shooter?
Drama.
There for an FA Youth Cup game in Wales on a Sunday afternoon. Now I'm no expert of Welsh football, but this has to probably
The
be
average
one of the
attendance
biggest
for
crowd.
Bangor City is a couple of hundred at most.
I was about to say, and there was at least that there. And like you said, I think they've probably got more people there than what they have for their first team who actually do exist. But it went to penalties, and we're pleased to say that Inisadu have won on penalties.
Oh,
Sudden death.
Get
On
in
sudden
there.
death.
It went on for bloody
Yeah,
ages.
penalty. It went wide, hit the button.
There was a very little movement from the goalkeepers on both sides, we have to be honest.
The other team, Brighton Ferry, could have won it, and they hit the bar, bounced just short of the line, and went back out.
But there was something else during the shootout that really made you want it to be Story of the Week, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, before the penalty shootout had been decided, the team in red, Brighton Ferry, missed their penalty.
Which meant Inisadu just had to score to win.
Yeah, but
what
for some
happened?
reason, Someone thought it'd be hilarious to lob a yellow flare in the 18-yard box, thus causing the whole thing to be delayed by a couple of minutes while they
I
cleared
think
the
that's
area.
why that guy missed, to be honest.
Yeah, and then
Great scenes.
so then the Anissa in yellow, all he had to do was score. I think probably still suffering from smoke inhalation from the flare.
Oh, Charlie Bett's drama sitcom.
Poor lad missed the penalty and hit the post, I think. So yeah, all in all, an unbelievable story for football. And actually, I know we said about it the other day, but I think quite a big thumbs up for community and the football world coming together.
For as long as they keep getting through, every 3 or 4 weeks, we don't have to think stuff as
No,
story
exactly. The
We
shame
are-
being is this team now won't play again until the next round.
So we are keeping tabs on this team now.
Yeah,
they
we're
are,
following
they
on
are our
Twitter.
How
favourites.
many of them will still be available and when they have to get time off work now, they've got a second round to do it for?
This is a youth game.
Time off school.
I've got to be honest. In the time that I've been following their Twitter feed in terms of the penalty shootout, their followers they've gone from 1,000 and something, so it's currently up to 3,396. So it's a brilliant thing for the club and stuff. But yeah, hopefully
It's a good thing for Welsh football.
Well, they've got one of the big teams in the next round, so being really.
Who they got in the
interesting
next
to see.
round?
I think it was Cardiff or Swansea.
Oh,
so that's
brilliant.
obviously to be played. But
Fair
yeah,
play, love that.
We'll go from
Ah,
there.
great story.
And now we'll go for our topic. This weekend is, this Saturday, should I say, is non-league day.
It is indeed.
It's our special of the week this week. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
so
And will be every year to make sure it gets as much publicity as it deserves.
So non-league day always happens in October when it's during the international breaks, when the Premier League and the Championship games don't happen.
I mean, to give people a bit of a background, it only started in 2010.
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
set up,
really?
it was a social media experiment by some
Yeah.
guy. I've got the name here, James Doe.
Yes.
It was inspired after a pre-season trip as a QPR fan.
Yeah.
It's now grown to become part of the football calendar, as you've said, every October.
Brilliant idea, especially as a football fan. International week. I mean, I know they brought out this League of Nations thing, but prior to that, it was so boring anyway. It was actually quite nice to go and.
I guess the only probably slight problem, and it's the same thing I'm suffering from here, going to Luton as at Barnsley next week, is that there's so many games on the TV over the weekend
Yeah,
from
that's
the
true,
Football
actually.
League, because they show 2 on Saturday, one on Saturday and 2 on Sunday now
So
on
is
Sky
there a
Sports.
National League game on BT?
There is. It's Halifax v Chesterfield, which will be an interesting game actually.
yeah,
So that's at 5:15.
Okay.
So it's a good excuse really. People can go to the National League or non-league games at 3:00 and then go into their pub, pay a couple of quid, have a pint, and watch the game afterwards.
Yeah, so it
Great.
doesn't have to be National League North, National League South. It
It
can
can
go
be
anywhere
far
lower.
lower.
That's available on a Saturday at 3:00 or 2:30.
Yeah.
And it's just
Exactly.
raising awareness that there is more to life than the Premier League.
I know some clubs, they do, like non-league clubs, they do promotions, don't they? So if you're a season ticket holder at a professional club, etc.
So I was actually doing this in my research, so I was going through quite a few of them. In non-league, you probably see so many teams where they come with half-price admission or bring a friend for a quid, bring a child for £1 or something like that, which are all great offers. But there's one that really got to me, and it was a club who were looking at the football fan like me. The one who talks about food for 20 minutes in every podcast. The one who's always planning his trips and his games around food and local restaurants and the scene, you know. So
You can work yourself.
we're talking about the one and only reformed AFC Rushton and Diamonds.
All right,
Oh,
so that's not far from here either, Dan. That's
No,
for us,
not
that's
far from it.
geographically.
So they're
doable.
doing an offer that many clubs are doing, which is pay what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to try and come to the game, if you feel like just paying a quid, then pay a quid, because there's seats that wouldn't be filled anyway.
No, exactly.
They're 150 that generally go every week, and every pound you get's great. And it's not about that; it's about the bottle of drink and
Yeah,
things
definitely.
like that.
It's a-
But they're big. They had a big thing on social media. There were 6 words in the title, and then it was a poster with 2 words on it. And what did it say? Come to the game, pay what you want, and what else? Free chips.
Free chips!
I just looked at that and went, if I was not at the other end of the country, I would be going to that game.
Oh, of course, yeah, you're in Barnsley,
Because
aren't you?
I just thought, what a strange offer. I saw so many. I went through literally about 150 offers in lower league
Yeah.
and non-league, and just went, how can you get to the stage where your offer is free chips?
I
think-
can't see how
And how are you going to
economically-
regulate that?
Exactly. How are you
How
going to
much
do that?
potato
Like, how
can
big
you
is
buy?
the portion of chips? You know, like how do you know that someone's not
It's
already had a
one
free
chip
portion
per
of chips?
person. But
What? Sorry, what?
I think we should
Go
keep
on.
an eye on this, like the attendance for Saturday's
Yeah,
game.
absolutely. And what I love the most about it is just a tiny small print at the bottom, subject to availability.
So basically, what that actually means is
We
the
might
first.
not have
We've
chips.
got about
First
chips for
25
100
people.
people,
Yeah, exactly.
and if you get past that, we've got 4 boxes of McCain's French fries, and after that, we are absolutely fucked. But I just thought it was an absolutely fantastic
Yeah.
story for
That's a great.
non-league.
My worry would be, given what happened to Steve Bruce, that someone starts lobbing the chips at the manager or something like that. Instead
could
of
now
like-
be
Fruits
considered
can't be for
hazard.
everyone. Like Villa Park.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention about non-league day, and it's a bit of a rant about a big TV company actually. So I was doing my research earlier for the FA Cup third qualifying round.
Yeah.
Obviously, we talk about supporting non-league football, and the TV companies, the Premier League and the EFL, claim to support this day.
Yeah.
And I went onto the Sky Sports page. I was doing what I usually do. I go through from Championship to North and South, looking at all the results, and I clicked on FA Cup. There are no results to be shown. This competition has not yet started.
Even though we're on third qualifying round?
Sky Sports Score Centre.
Oh yeah, well the BBC have got their.
The BBC have got it, absolutely fair play.
The BBC done the extra preliminary round.
So is it third qualifying round we're on now?
We're on the third qualifying round, and it says it hasn't started, and
so elitist.
Doesn't do it for until the first round proper, and it really annoys me because even like BT Sport are showing the fourth qualifying round, they show a game from it, and I just think just because you haven't got the rights. And just because you've only got the Premier League and EFL rights doesn't mean you haven't got a right to show it.
No,
I mean, it's not a first time for them because they did it with Wolves in the summer actually when they got promoted to the Premier League. And their advert for their Premier League coverage was they're out of the mire. And
that was it, yes.
And someone pointed out to them, you do know that mire that is the EFL, which you cover 100 odd games from.
Yeah.
Which was a bit strange for me.
It's terrible,
I just think that it's such a basic thing to do for support. You could just ask the BBC, can I have the scores off your website?
It's
just
not challenging to do, is it? Especially a company.
I mean, we've managed to find 5 or 6 results ourselves. You know what I mean?
We found results from the Welsh FA Cup for crying out loud.
Or even just say we cover this competition from the first round. Click here for a link to the FA website for the qualifying round.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And
so people of Sky,
I just
because
don't understand it.
You got some load of tech guys there. It's not hard to make a web page.
Can I just point out here that Craig Savage is the one of the three of us who pays for a Sky Sports subscription, so there's no bias in there. Or has a Sky Sports subscription.
No, you're there.
Your household, sorry.
Yes. Because
I
like
think
Sky Sports News.
I do think that non-league day is a brilliant idea. I do think it should be public, especially through Premier League teams. I mean, a Twitter account, they've got a whole team of people doing it.
There are some that do. I think West Ham had something about the Dagenham game next week and things like that. So
I think, obviously, there's a lot of football league clubs. Like, for example, Luton are away to Barnsley. I think Luton fans should get involved with the teams that are around the area, like your Corey Greens, or even or like AFC Dunstable Town. All that
to be fair, in the last international break, Luton sent out tweets for all of Crawley's games and things like that.
That's good.
I know they had to ask for it, which is the shame, really, isn't it?
I'll be honest. We've spoken before quite often about cost of football and how much it costs to run a team. Not saying that non-league days are windfall for some of these non-league clubs, but it's certainly something that can help keep the wolf from the door for a bit longer in a sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, not saying clubs rely on that, but it's so important that people do go. Because
it's a different culture from going to a ground that holds 25,000 to a ground that probably holds 2,000. So,
but what I mean
it's a different atmosphere. You get it's
that extra revenue they wouldn't have got if this wasn't a day, inverted commas. It can not change a club, but it can keep them going and.
And then so it's a good opportunity. And you go, I'll go watch the local team, and then it won't cost you a lot. And then go, I really enjoyed that, and then hopefully it gives you an opportunity to go, I might go watch them again.
Absolutely, and one of the biggest things from it as well is obviously. We've talked about it quite a few times now, the cost of football, not just playing it, but watching it. And at the top level in the EFL and Premier League and probably even Championship now, it's unaffordable for a lot of working class families.
Absolutely.
And if you can go down, say, as a pay as you want, so for Rushden and Diamonds, in theory, you could go as an adult and 3 kids, you could just pay a tenner and in you go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And just say there's a forwards, you could pay a fiver and in you go.
Get your free chips.
And it's an introduction to young people for football that is impossible to get in some places now, because even like at the top clubs like United's and Arsenal's and that, you might say it's unaffordable, but even then, it's also nearly impossible to get a ticket because 90% of the ground season ticket holders now. And corporates are taking up so many more of the seats in the new stadiums that are being built. So it's a really great way to encourage families and young people into football. For in terms of parenting, it's a great opportunity to do something on a Saturday or Sunday when normally you'd say, we can't afford to have to do something internally. You can say, well, for a fiver, we can all go out for the day.
It actually helps you engage with your club and community in the sense of, all of these non-league clubs will have some sort of youth section. It's a good introduction to, if you've got children who want to play football, all that sort of thing. Or, a lot of clubs now have a clubhouse that in the evening they'll have, I don't know, for argument's sake, a band or a bingo night or something like that. And it's a good route in.
There's a lot of them as well because they're aware of the family ties and because it's become such a big thing, this non-league day, where they put on extra things. So there was one who had like a fun fair in the ground. I can't remember what it was, but they were saying we're doing, the hooker duck and things like that.
Fucking circus.
No, I know, but outside the ground they've organised a little fun fair and things to try and encourage families to come in. I just think it's really great.
Well, hopefully it can break even though, because costing for a fun fair is different.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but you get a lot of the community volunteer to go and do
yeah,
things
yeah.
like that, and same as like even things like burger vans and that where people go
yeah.
and volunteer.
So essentially, the message from us is
Go
support
watch
a
them.
local club of yours.
If you are interested,
Yeah, go on,
the website www.nonleagueday.co.uk. It has multiple things on there. So if you're a club in the lower leagues and non-leagues, something that interests Craig and you as you're involved in that, they have ideas for clubs to increase attendance, best ideas from other clubs that have worked in
Did they show
previous
you
years.
show you what fixtures are on? So you've got,
No, that's the second bit of it. So the second bit is you can enter your postcode and find your nearest match, which I think is absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastic thing to do. And third, and last but not least, it's something that normally I'd mock, but they do have merchandise and things like that, which they sell for t-shirts for non-league day and that. Won't be for everyone, but if you do want to do it, they send 15% of the proceeds as a result of the link up with Manorama from the National Leagues. 15% goes to Prostate Cancer UK. So
there you go.
absolutely brilliant across the board. The last thing I wanted to mention from my research of it was I was having a look at the crowds from last week because I was going to do a comparison next week to see how it worked out. And I had from Step 4, the Evo Stick Southern Central last week. There were all attendances in the 1 and 200s. And I just wondered if either of you two could shed any light on this. Sporting FC v Dunstable Town, 721. I don't know if that's a typo, but they've got 4 times the attendance of anyone else in the league.
Sporting FC. I think sometimes you do get what's the best way to put it?
Russian Diamonds did all
Yeah, well, they're an ex-football league club. But I think sometimes you get these, as you know, teams that are based around a particular culture or community, and actually they're quite well supported. You know, I mean, we played against a team that was purely Jewish. Remember, like that sort of thing.
Yes, yeah.
So quite often, you know, if you've got a team like that, I don't know. We'll find out and get back next week about this Sporting FC.
Last thing in build-up to non-league day is on, as of last week, if you want to go and check it out, there was a FA Cup draw on Monday. On TalkSport 2, unfortunately. Didn't want to put it on the main station, but the 4th qualifying round draw's been made, so go and have a look at that. And hopefully by the time this comes out, they will have announced which TV game's going to be on BT and BBC. So
what was the draw?
No, the draw's on Monday. As we recording this tomorrow, but when it comes out, it will be a few days in the past, so go and have a look at it. But for those of you who can't attend the non-league day, have a look on BT Sport. Halifax v Chesterfield, 5:15.
Question of the day time. So if you haven't listened to this podcast already for this season, it's currently 2-1 to Cody. Somehow.
Well, very biased question last week to get Charlie back in the game.
90 sponsors would be my forte.
Yeah, well, I don't know that. It's like getting the train to Fleetwood. So this week, question is: which is the only team to have played in the Premier League, the old Division 1, 2, 3 and 4, and Division 3 South and Division 3 North?
I think it's Wolves.
You're going straight on Wolves.
I'm going for Wolves because I remember hearing something about. I think I'm mixing it up because they
I
would.
think I'm going to stick with your first answer.
Oh no! I think I'm mixing it
you
up.
think you're right.
I'm just saying, but my reasoning for it is because I think they were the first club who got relegated from the old Division 1 all the way down to 4 in succession. That's why I think I've gone for them, but I'm probably wrong.
Only because I think they might be on the border, Coventry City.
Oh, so we've both gone for Midlands teams.
Yeah, it makes sense to be on the border, and they're in. Yeah, no, but they wouldn't be in the old league. Oh no, I think I've gone wrong.
Okay, well, one of you's are right.
One's right.
It's going to be you, mate, because you think you've got it wrong.
You think you got it right.
I don't think I've got it wrong. I think I've mixed up the stats.
You think you got it wrong. Well, I can tell you the answer is Coventry City. It's Desmond! I don't believe it.
Who thought we were going to get a Desmond in this series, eh?
I thought they would have gone down because they were always Oh, fair enough.
Coventry
It's only because they're on the board. I couldn't think of another team that's on that who would have been North and South. Really, you know, like there's not many other who would have gone all the way down. Like Villa wouldn't have done, surely.
No, could have said, true. So, Coventry City is the correct answer. Charlie Betts is now 2-2 with Daniel Cody. Find out next week who will take the lead.
Hang on. Can I just say, great knowledge. We've got 4 out of 5 questions right.
Yeah,
Give us a bit of credit. Give us a bit of credit.
Whole last season, you've got one question
out of 8,
right, and now you're getting 4 out of 4.
We are top knowledge. We've done our research for this series.
Well done, you two. I'll give you credit. Well done. And that's it for today's episode. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for 2 new videos every week on the Honest Football Podcast.
Beautiful. Let's go for a curry.